The relationship between wealth and the human mind has always been far more intricate than simple economics or transactional logic suggests, because money does not move toward intellect alone, but toward internal coherence, emotional clarity, and the subtle energetic signals we send into the world. A person with fragmented self-beliefs, conflicting desires, or internalized scarcity might work hard, think critically, and push aggressively, yet still experience money slipping through their fingers or failing to enter their life in the first place, while another person with calm certainty, clean inner intention, and a sense of natural worthiness attracts opportunity with seemingly less effort. This paradox often confuses people who reduce wealth to effort, education, or strategy because they ignore how the subconscious layers of identity, self-permission, and expectation silently govern behavior, communication, and decision-making. Wealth responds to inner stability because money is ultimately a social and energetic phenomenon. It flows through relationships, agreements, trust, perception, creativity, and timing, all of which are influenced by psychology long before they manifest as financial outcomes. When the nervous system holds fear, shame, guilt, or tension around money, that tension leaks into action through hesitation, undercharging, self-sabotage, refusal to ask, avoidance of risk, or staying stuck in low-valued environments where wealth cannot circulate. By contrast, when someone develops internal congruence, emotional neutrality, and intuitive openness toward earning and receiving, the world begins to mirror that shift in ways that seem mysterious until one understands the subtle mechanics beneath them. Language sits at the center of this dynamic because words are not just communication tools, but carriers of meaning, identity, and energetic frequency. The phrases people casually repeat, such as "I can't afford that," "Money is so hard to make," "I'm just not good with finances," "Wealthy people are greedy," "I don't deserve that yet," are not harmless expressions, but microprograms that shape the subconscious blueprint from which actions emerge. When language becomes a script for limitation, the mind builds neural pathways around those limitations. The emotions reinforce them through fear or resignation, and behavior conforms by avoiding expansion, reducing visibility, or rejecting opportunities unconsciously. Wealth requires language that permits possibility rather than language that reinforces impossibility. And this does not mean unrealistic affirmations detached from reality, but precision in framing, naming, and directing one's experiences. Instead of "I can't afford that," the empowered version is "I'm not prioritizing that yet," which keeps dignity, agency, and abundance intact. Instead of "money stresses me out," a healthier framing is "I am learning to handle money with clarity and confidence." Over time, these linguistic upgrades alter identity and behavior, influencing how someone negotiates, prices, invests, collaborates, learns, and builds value. Language becomes a bridge between internal energy and external wealth because wealth is shaped by belief, belief is shaped by thought, thought is structured by language, and language is something we can consciously redesign. Energy is the silent currency behind all forms of wealth exchange, and the world is constantly responding to energetic posture even when no words are spoken. Energy here does not mean something mystical, it means the emotional state, nervous system tone, behavioral signals, confidence levels, presence, self-respect, and boundaries that others perceive instantly and unconsciously. A person who carries desperation repels clients, investors, collaborators, and opportunities not because people are cruel, but because desperation signals instability, fear, and potential loss. Meanwhile, a person who carries grounded certainty and relaxed curiosity tends to attract allies because confidence signals reliability, expansion, and shared benefit. The same principle applies internally. If someone approaches money with anxiety, guilt, or avoidance, the autonomic nervous system interprets financial engagement as danger, triggering freeze or flight responses that block learning, risk-taking, and strategic growth. This is why some people procrastinate opening bills, delay learning financial skills, or sabotage opportunities. They are protecting themselves emotionally rather than moving toward expansion logically. When the emotional energy around money becomes regulated through self-worth, emotional intelligence, healed beliefs, secure identity, and a healthy relationship with earning, money becomes easier not because the world changes, but because the internal energetic resistance dissolves. Wealth flows where there is emotional capacity to hold it. Mindset ties these components together by creating the overarching philosophical framework through which someone interprets wealth, work, value, and possibility. A scarcity mindset sees money as a finite resource controlled by others, which makes people compete, hoard, minimize, and fear loss. An abundance mindset sees money as a dynamic flow created through value, which makes people collaborate, innovate, invest, and circulate resources. But mindset is not just optimism, it is a structural orientation toward life. Scarcity mindset views risk as threat, opportunity as danger, competition as survival, and spending as depletion, so it naturally produces contraction. Abundance mindset views risk as leverage, opportunity as expansion, collaboration as amplification, and spending as resource allocation, so it naturally produces flow. This does not mean abundance-minded people ignore caution or strategy, it means they make decisions from expansion rather than fear. Over time, mindset determines who learns new skills, who builds networks, who persists through uncertainty, who negotiates assertively, who takes ownership of mistakes, who invests in growth, who communicates value, who becomes visible, and who stays small. Wealth becomes a byproduct of mindset long before it becomes a financial statement. The actual flow of wealth is shaped by how someone provides value and how someone receives value, and most people struggle with at least one of these two poles. Some are great at giving, serving, creating, helping, working, building, but terrible at receiving due to guilt, unworthiness, or fear of judgment, so they block money by refusing raises, underpricing their skills, saying yes to unpaid labor, or downplaying their contributions. Others are good at receiving but weak at providing value, lacking discipline, consistency, skill acquisition, or genuine service, so money flows briefly but never sustains because it lacks foundation. True wealth requires both, the energetic outflow of value and the energetic inflow of compensation. This exchange is also influenced by the environment someone inhabits, psychological, relational, cultural, and economic, because wealth flows through networks, industries, markets, and trust systems. If a person with a strong wealth mindset surrounds themselves with scarcity-oriented relationships, cynical communities, or low-value ecosystems, they may struggle because the environment resists expansion. Conversely, when an individual aligns themselves with people, industries, and systems that reward value, collaboration, and innovation, wealth flow accelerates. In this sense, wealth is ecological. It depends on the ecosystem as much as the individual. Ultimately, wealth flows in accordance with mindset, language, and energy because these three factors influence identity, behavior, emotion, communication, value creation, decision-making, and relational dynamics, all of which are the real underlying drivers of financial outcomes. People who change only their strategies without changing their mindset eventually burn out or revert, while people who change their mindset but never learn economic structure remain spiritually abundant but materially limited. The real transformation occurs when someone aligns mindset, language, energy, skill, structure, and environment. When these layers come into alignment, wealth no longer feels random or mysterious, but begins to behave like a predictable flow that responds to clarity, value, capacity, and confidence. In that state, money becomes less about survival and more about self-expression, contribution, and freedom, and the person becomes a steward of resources rather than a seeker of scarcity. Wealth is not just what enters a bank account, it is the alignment of the inner world with the outer world in a way that allows value to move freely in both directions. The deeper one examines the link between internal states and external wealth, the clearer it becomes that much of the struggle around money is not rooted in economics at all, but in unresolved personal narratives that people carry from childhood, culture, religion, and early social environments. A child who grows up hearing arguments about bills, witnessing parents panic over expenses, or absorbing beliefs that wealth is immoral, subconsciously encodes the idea that money equals chaos, conflict, or shame. That child grows into an adult who either avoids wealth to avoid internal discomfort or associates wealth with shame and overcompensates by undercharging, overgiving, or pushing abundance away. Meanwhile, another child raised in an environment where money is discussed with neutrality, strategy, and calm grows into an adult who treats wealth as a neutral tool rather than an emotional battlefield.
These early imprints often remain invisible to the conscious mind, yet they manifest in financial behaviors such as overspending to numb stress, resisting structure due to fear of restriction, avoiding investment due to fear of loss, or refusing to pursue higher-paying environments due to fear of judgment. When people realize that their financial patterns are not signs of incompetence, but protective mechanisms developed under emotional conditions, the shame dissolves and clarity emerges, making true restructuring possible. Healing wealth wounds is not just about earning more, it's about dissolving the emotional narratives that prevent one from holding, managing, and multiplying wealth from a place of stability. Another dimension in wealth flow is perception and identity, because wealth does not simply respond to who a person is internally, but how they are perceived externally. In markets, careers, and collaborations, perception shapes opportunity because humans trade on trust, credibility, and reliability long before money exchanges hands. Someone may possess extraordinary skill, but if their self-presentation conveys confusion,